Let's create a bot that can recognize our sentiments or actually perform sentiment analysis on what we write. So the project is going to look like this. As soon as we run it, we'll have a bot that says enter some text and I will perform a sentiment analysis on it. So here we can say I am happy. And the bot should give you this sentiment analysis followed by the polarity rating. And if we can say this sucks, we will get a mad face because that is the sentiment of what we wrote. We can also say, what a beautiful day. I won the lotto. We will get a fairly positive rating. Or we can say, I feel okay. And there it saw that it's just a average polarity rating, so it's going to rate it as neutral. But the sentiment analysis bot is just a fun way to show you how sentiment analysis can be done. So let's create this from scratch, and the first thing you want to do is pip install TextBlob. And TextBlob is a package that provides a lot of cool functionality for dealing with text and sentiments and a lot of cool things like that. So let's import from TextBlob the TextBlob class. And we're going to import from data classes the data class, because we're going to create a very minimalistic data class that contains a mood. So at data class, we're going to create a class called mood, and it's going to contain an emoji of type string and a sentiment of type float. And to get the sentiment, we're going to create a function called getMood, which will take some input text of type string, and we're going to provide an asterisk here so that we're forced to use this argument or this parameter by its name. So sensitivity of type float, and that's going to return to us a mood. Now to get the polarity, we're going to create a variable called polarity, and it's going to be of type float, which will use TextBlob with the input text, and it's going to get the sentiment.polarity back. Then we need to create some thresholds. So here we can type in friendly threshold of type float, and that's going to equal the sensitivity. So essentially the sensitivity is how sensitive the bot should be when we insert some text. For example, I wrote I am happy, and that gave us a score of 0.8, which is quite a high rating because this ranges from -1 to 1, and 8 is quite high in that respect. The mid-range is 0, and that will return neutral. So what we're doing with the sensitivity is telling the bot which part is neutral and which part is happy and which part is sad or upset or negative. So by default, I'm going to set this to 0.3 because I think 0.3 is a good rating. If it's above 0.3, it's going to be positive. If it's below -0.3, it's going to be negative. But anything between -0.3 and +0.3 is going to be considered neutral. So here, let's duplicate this and call this the hostile threshold, which is just going to be the negative version of the friendly threshold. Next, if the polarity is more than or equal to the friendly threshold, we're going to return a good mood. So return a mood that says good, and it will contain the polarity. And personally, I really like having this bot with emojis. So if you want to insert those there, feel more than welcome to do so. If the polarity is less than or equal to the hostile threshold, we're going to return an angry mood. So here we'll add angry and the polarity rating again. Else it's just going to be a neutral mood. So return the mood of neutral face with the polarity. So this is the function we will use to get the mood of the message. Now let's create a function called run bot, and the bot will say something such as enter some text to get a sentiment analysis, and we will insert a while true loop, which will take the user input of type string, which will equal an input of you. And the mood of type mood is going to equal getMood with the user input and the sensitivity set to 0.3. Now, because we defined this asterisk, we cannot pass it in as 0.3 because the program is going to say, hey, it's an unexpected argument. We're forcing ourselves to actually include the keyword sensitivity. so that the programmer can actually see this. And that's just supposed to be a way of being more explicit with your program or forcing other people to be more explicit, because some people might not really understand what user input and 0.3 means. So when they include sensitivity, it's just easier to remember. And we want to force them to do that. Then we will print that the bot said mood.emoji and mood.sentiment. Then all we have to do is run the bot. So run bot. And just like that, we can tap on run, and we're going to have a script that analyzes our text. So we can say, I am super happy today. And it's going to give us a rather positive rating. Otherwise, if we say, I hate my life, we should get a negative rating back. I hate my life usually, but today I am very happy. And it might struggle with certain phrases because, again, this is very confusing for the algorithm. We wrote a lot of words that were negative, but we also had a rather positive thing to say at the end. So you are going to have to play around with this to get better responses, but that's the concept behind how you can create a sentiment analysis bot. That is a cool dog, and it's rather positive. Also, if we put a higher value for the sensitivity, you're going to notice that the bot is going to give you neutral more times. So I am good today. It's still going to cut it. So let's actually raise that to 0.8. We can type that again. I am good today. And it's going to rate that as neutral because it has to be above or equal to 0.8 to return happy. Or if you want to say something such as I am bad, it also has to be below negative 0.8 to actually register as a negative sentiment. So depending on how sensitive you want it, 0.1 being super sensitive and 0.9 being extremely insensitive, that's up to you.